Good morning, colleagues, and good morning, councillors. Good morning. Colleagues, councillors, are you able to hear me? Can I get, yeah, also am I audible? Yeah, thank you very much. Colleagues, it is 9 o'clock, and when I look at our time there, when I look at the people who have joined 83. So can I get guidance whether should we continue or wait for some 2 minutes or so? Any guidance? Mike, should we start or should we wait for 5 more minutes?
I think let's start at 5 past sharp.
Okay, thank you very much. Masana, can you please fly the agenda for us whilst colleagues are still connecting to the session? Please fly the agenda. Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, councillors. Yeah, I think now it is time for us to start with this important webinar session, which is actually one of the traditions that we have created as Salga, that from time to time annually we'll have a session that we focusing its attention on how uh, could we as a people, as practitioners, as councillors improve governance, and especially governance in our municipalities. So today's theme for this session, councillors and colleagues, is institutionalizing collaborative governance for inclusive and accountable local government. Comrade, this colleagues, this is an important, very important discussion session or engagement where we have invited very knowledgeable people in the space. These people are going to actually take us through what they've been doing as individuals in their spaces, and what have they learned, and what are they actually proposing for us to do as municipalities, as the local government sector. And I think you're going to receive their bios as and when they are actually called upon to present. My name, councillors and colleagues, is Colin Ramule. I am with Salga at National Office in the Inclusive Governance and Councillor Welfare Unit. I am here with my colleagues. We have Michael Chauke, we have Masana, we have other colleagues in provinces. These colleagues and councillors is a webinar that we're pitching across the country. I think one can safely say that we are having our engagement before the bigger national dialogue. So this is a local government dialogue of some sort that we thought we should engage on the theme that I have actually spoken to, that is institutionalizing collaborative governance for inclusive and accountable government. And I think our speakers and yourselves, we're going to interrogate this theme, and at the end of this webinar, we should have learned something that we would go back to our institutions and implement. Um, you are welcome, our colleagues. You are welcome, councillors. Feel free to engage. I think the other thing that we need to know that there should be rules. And now we are virtually, there must be virtual rules that we should adhere to, that you mute your mics, you mute your cameras, and when it will be time for you to speak, you raise your hands. I'm observing from my side, and Masana and Mike will also be assisting me in ensuring that we give you a space to talk. We are going to receive presentations, but the presentations will be the icebreakers more or less, and give you a sense of what this collaborative governance mean. And we will want to allow you as delegates. You are now, as I look into the in my screen, 169 to engage and interrogate this. We start now at 9, and then this session is supposed to be ending at 12. So time is of essence, and thanks for joining. We know it's Friday. We know it's almost is after month, and some have to travel back home. Some have this and that to do. We thank you very much. Now we have started, and I think without any waste of time, councillors and colleagues, I would want to request my colleague uh, uh, is our boss actually, Mike Chauke, a specialist governance and in inclusive governance as well as councillor welfare at the national office, to take us through the purpose of this webinar, so that actually we are on the same page. Mike, can you actually take our councillors and colleagues along on the purpose? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues, and good morning, honorable councillors and colleagues. This is, as Mr. Ramula said, it's one of the platforms we are creating to be able to engage with municipalities across various topical topics that pertain to the work that we do from a governance space at Salga. For this particular one, there's a focus on collaborative governance because we've seen there are challenges around public participation, how municipalities engage with communities, as well as communities feeling despondent in terms of not participating. And one of the things that the National Development Plan enjoins on us is for active citizenry. So we want to work together with communities, various stakeholders, and municipalities to galvanize them to contribute as well as to leverage from the resources that they provide through their expertise and capacities to augment the work that municipalities are doing. So we'll have more of these kind of platforms looking at various topics. But what we want to focus on is looking at the lessons that we have. There's currently work that Gerrit will present on later on this morning around the Compact, which is a program that is sponsored by the EU between SALGA, PARI, which is the Public Affairs Research Institute, as well as Integrity Action, which is a UK-based civil society organization, as well as work that we are currently engaging on with Kagiso Trust, and get insights from Professor Madumo on how we can strengthen public participation processes in municipalities, particularly through a collaborative governance model that Salga is currently developing for the sector. What we want to see is to move away from the traditional way that municipalities have always engaged with communities. In most instances, we bring everyone into a hall, and it does not allow for nuanced engagements in terms of how we can solve municipal problems utilizing communities' inputs. So we want to create a platform where we can be able to identify stakeholders, build trust amongst those stakeholders, and be able to come with co-created solutions to the challenges that we have. So today's discussions will look at some of the lessons we can learn, what has been done already, and how we can take the work forward, and how we can get municipalities to change in terms of the institutional dynamics, in terms of how do they engage even internally amongst themselves. Because in some instances, you'll find that the office of the executive mayor goes out for IDP consultation processes, but they're not involving the office of the speaker and so forth. So one of the key elements that we want, how do we institutionalize a collaborative process of engagement, not only with community members, but also within the institution as a whole, for us to start to talk, to sit around the table. It's not going to be a once-off process, but it's a continuous process of engagement. So we want to facilitate those kind of engagement processes where we are giving opportunities to communities to be involved, for their voices to be heard, and we move away from the top-down approach that is often inherent in the system, where we are telling communities this is what government is going to do, but rather we get it from the bottom up, and communities are discussing, consulting, and coordinating the efforts from a municipal level, from the community level going up. Thank you very much for your attendance this morning. We look forward to fruitful discussions. Thank you very much, Colin.
Yeah, thank Mike for having elaborated on the purpose of us meeting today virtually. And I think councillors and colleagues are now on par on what we want to do and what we want to achieve. I think this follows up on what we held last year, and I think even this year, which means we have possibilities of actually having started a movement that every year we're going to talk about this subject of participation, the subject of community involvement, the subject of collaborative governance, which is, from my point of view, an evolution of people actually participating in matters that affect them. This year, on the 26th of June, we were celebrating and remembering the milestones that actually happened when people met at Kliptown to come up with what is known today as the Freedom Charter, which was a collaborative process, a collaborative a document that shaped the country we have today. So we have it in us to collaborate. So let us now, if it was lost, let's find it and put it back to action. Our first presenter, councillors and colleagues, is a knowledgeable individual who has been in the civil society space, who, as he's presenting, preparing to present Paul Smith, Mr. Paul Smith, let me just showcase or maybe read what his bio is. And I think we have three individuals here with actually extensive community engagement, extensive governance work, colleagues and councillors. But I think I should make a disclaimer from the onset that we apologize. We're only having male presenters here, and we would do better the next time. I think we tried to get a female presenter. We could not for now come up with one, but there are many in the country. Maybe we did not search hard enough, but I think we are apologizing for only having male presenters. Paul, please get ready as we are actually presenting or reading through your bio. Colleagues, councillors, Paul Smith is the executive head of local governance support at Kagiso Trust, an organization deeply committed to fostering the future that South Africans aspire to build. Recognizing the pivotal role of local government, Kagiso Trust emphasizes the transformative power of radical stakeholder collaboration to bring about meaningful change for communities. With an extensive professional history spanning over 25 years, Paul has dedicated his career to supporting municipalities as his expertise encompasses municipal revenue management, leadership development, institutional transformation, and fostering stakeholder collaboration as a catalyst for creating enabling environments. Paul will draw his experience in working in Makana and share the outcomes achievable through radical collaboration, and both him and Kagiso Trust share a commitment to share their collaboration model throughout South Africa. The overarching goal is to promote inclusive governance and advance community-centric development, so no community is left behind. Kagiso Trust is of the firm belief is that effective collaboration is the cornerstone of building the future communities and municipalities desire. Can we welcome Paul? And Paul, the stage is yours now for the next 25 to 30 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, Paul, you can proceed.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to take part in this. Collaborative governance or inclusive governance is a passion of Kagiso Trust. And by the way, for those who are watching the presentation, you'll see the logo at the bottom of my screen. Kagiso Trust this year turns 40 years old. And so Kagiso Trust from 1986 in the struggle against apartheid up until today has been committed to supporting government and supporting marginalized communities across the country. And we're very proud of what we've managed to achieve over this period of time. I'll move straight on to the presentation there. So the first thing I just want to get to make sure we understand the terms that we're using, governance. It's really the system, the process, the practice through which we make decisions, where authority is exercised and accountability is ensured in an organization or institution or society. It encompasses the rules and norms and actions that determine how power is distributed and how stakeholders interact to make and implement decisions. That link to collaboration, which is the process of two or more people or groups or organizations working together to achieve a shared goal or outcome. It involves actively sharing knowledge, skills, resources, and responsibilities in a way that values mutual respect, open communication, and joint decision-making. The key aspects: shared purpose, co-creation, mutual respect and trust, and interdependence. Interdependence is really important. Just to go to our reality at the moment, and this is why collaborative governance or inclusive governance is so important. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the plight of communities, many communities in South Africa, the increased poverty, unemployment growing daily, more families and communities being dependent on social security, and then the moral fiber of society being degenerated over over the years. And so communities are grappling with all these issues. And on the other side of the coin, we've got municipalities that are out there, and we see the underperformance of municipalities in many places, all service delivery, degradation of infrastructure, and some political turmoil. And most of all, the financial viability of many of our municipalities is under question at the moment. But the real issue here is not all those issues. Issues are one thing, but the gap growing between government and community is the real problem, because we in society, we need to focus on making sure that as a community and as a government, we close this gap. And closing this gap means a lot of things, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm going to take you through our journey on our practical lived experience that we have in the local government space over the last number of years. So what does our reality look like at the moment? And this has been sort of emphasized as I've moved around many municipalities in South Africa. And in Makana particularly, the community referred to themselves as a circular firing squad. And so I asked the question, so what does the future look like under this context? And so we have a people and polarization problem in this country. People people are the agents who can fix these issues, and polarization is what's dividing us. And whilst we remain divided, we become subject to narcissistic leadership and being misled in our communities. So what does the shift we need look like? We actually need to move from the circular firing squad to the picture on the right-hand side here. And I use this rugby. Why? Because we're on the eve of the anniversary of the '95 World Cup that showed those great pictures of national unity, and Nelson Mandela and Francois Pienaar, the captain, really making big efforts in terms of taking South Africa forward. And so I use rugby as an image, and also the World Cup champions, etc. So the question is what does our future look like under the new context, under the picture on the right, where there's unity of community and the main role players in society. And I would see the municipality as those three guys in the middle, the front row, who really drive transformation and are critical elements to transformation. And without them, it's not possible. And so this is the challenge for communities and local governments across South Africa. The key question we need to ask ourselves, are we up for the challenge, or do we really want the challenge? Because we know that in our societies, there are many people benefiting from a disorganized and dysfunctional environment. And those are going to push back against organized and structure and collaborative governance. We know that, but the challenges are, the question is, are we up for the challenge? I just want to look at how we think about the future. So the future is quite unpredictable for us. COVID taught us that, and we know that we can't predict the future. We can only build the capabilities for the future. So what capability is going to be the best possible capability that can deal with any multiple futures going forward? Well, the key question is that, what capabilities? And the municipality and community need to focus on this question and make sure that we answer this question. And I'm going to answer that question by referring to a Gibbs Business School study we did in Makana municipality a number of years ago. And we asked the question, which two factors will most shape the future of your domain? And they had to order these in terms of biggest to smallest, or most important to least important. The first factor was political factors. Was there going to be sufficient political will for transformation? And the second most important factor was social factors. Are we able to collaborate? Those factors take us to what was important about those factors is more electricity and better water services and better waste collection, and all those types of things weren't important. The community, which was a mix of government and non-government organizations and business community as well. And so it was very interesting for me that people said that these were the two most important factors. These factors give us a possibility of 4 scenarios. where there's high collaboration but no political will. This and strong political will from government. And this is what was phrased as utopia. It's a settlement where everyone sticks to their channel. Life is good, growth is evident, and there's a lot of ethical play, and people are in it together for each other. And that was the best case scenario. The next case scenario is progressive, slow movement, adversity to risk, partnerships and with regarding technology. Communities were misfiring a bit because here we see strong political will but no collaboration, and things were a little stagnant but not reaching their full potential. But this was a very progressive state to be in. And whilst I'm talking about these scenarios, if you're involved in a municipality, try and place your municipality in one of these scenarios. The third one was go it alone, which is a lone rider, a new selfish approach. Business go for off the water and electricity grids, poor services in communities. The rise of business and affluent continues and is independent, and the poor um, are taking strain. The last component is chaotic, and this is where there's no collaboration and no political will, and this is when there's total degradation of community and society. The important thing here is I think many of our municipalities are on the go it alone stage, because when life gets tough, people want to protect their assets, make sure they are right, and not focus on the whole community. And it's a quick slippery slope to chaotic from here. And I think many of our municipalities are in this space, but many of our municipalities are also in this space where there is a emerging political will. And we can see that in the work that we've done with Solga. People do want to change and maybe not really know how to change. And if this is the case, it's a fast track to utopia. And we need to make sure that we decide which way we want to go, identify where we are in this scenario, and make the changes that are required. What needs to shift? Under the current local government, from our experience and some research we've done in the municipal sector, non-performing municipalities suffer the following consequences. The account to political masters, and as party politics plays out strongly. And in this type of environment, the staff in these institutions are all about self-preservation. And so their culture is to keep quiet, do what they need to do, respond positively to political masters, keep their jobs, and everything's hunky-dory. On the other side, and what we need to shift to is we need to shift to where leaders build effective institutions. So our focus is not up the value chain, but down the value chain. Are our institutions designed for the purpose, and are they fit for purpose? And the second thing, the culture of the people in that institution needs to be customer centric. Are we serving our communities in the best possible way that we can? If we get this shift right in our institutions, I think we're in a very good path going forward into the future. And what drives this change is leadership. Leadership eats strategy and planning for breakfast every day. So leadership can determine this, as leadership can impose these types of cultures on their institutions. Without the leadership, nothing's likely to change. So how do we shift as individuals? Because we've got to shift as individuals to be more effective in our environments. So how do we shift from egocentric to ecosystem centric? Well, we've got to stop thinking about ourselves. We've got to stop our self-preservation thinking. We've got to stop our self-benefit thinking. We've got to stop making decisions that are best for us but actually harm our communities. And we need to start thinking communally and enabling exponential improvement in the quality of our ideas. Because when we sit around the table together, like we're doing today, we share ideas and we become better in terms of our ecosystem thinking, and we do what's for the greater good of community. Because even if I have a business in a community where the greater community is not prosperous, my business is not likely to succeed. My business will more likely succeed if people have the means and have prosperity, and so my business can equally grow under those conditions. So the choice we all need to make. Do we want to be, and these two options are absencing and presencing. So do we want to have an open mind and be curious an open heart, and be compassionate about what our communities are experiencing, and an open will, the courage to change? Or do we want to have a closed will and the fear of change, a closed heart with hate and anger and fighting, which we often see amongst our coalition governments at the moment? Or we want a closed mind and remain ignorant to the possibilities of being open-minded? And so these are possibilities. This is a journey we all need to choose to go through. I want to take you through a few case studies quickly. The Makana case study is very interesting. Makana Circle of Unity was formed, which was a civic coalition, and that was formed with the assistance of the municipality. What came out of that? There was a coordination of several work streams, and those were clusters focusing on different elements of community development. There was an MCU scholarship fund developed. Education economic impact assessment was done. Makana Education Summit was held to improve and the quality of education in the region. Eastern Cape Portfolio Committee's engagements around Makana schools was done collectively by all stakeholders in Makana. Food security was a big issue during COVID, and the marginalized communities and families in distress got support they needed. The local economic development and established a local economic development forum in collaboration with the municipality, civil society collaboration, HRC partnership and capacity development within community. There's drone policies for the university were developed. So many policies were developed, including municipal policies like communication and other policies with the assistance of the Makana Circle of Unity, which is the non-government stakeholders. The civil society projects were launched. There was many memorial lectures and dialogues held between community and local government. And then there were some special projects. Robotics was a project was introduced to schools, psychosocial support, asset-based community development projects, NGO capacity building, and Makana East Wi-Fi, giving people without access to Wi-Fi. These were all very important projects. But the important thing about the Makana Circle of Unity, and that which was created in collaboration with the municipality, is the civil society signed a constitution that made them apolitical and to work with the municipality and not against the municipality. And the last project, which was really important, was the National Arts Festival Special Empowerment Project, and that was a financial injection into the community to support the municipality in delivering some of its services, cleaning up the town, and that employed over 1,700 people over a 3-year period. Really impactful on the local economy. This is what collaboration looked like. This was a picture. The red arrow shows me in the back there. I just wanted to show you that I was present. This is when non-government stakeholders came together. There were a few government stakeholders present, not enough, came together to discuss the future of education and equality of education in Makana. What an event that was. People gave up their time freely for over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to discuss the prosperity of the children in the community. What an exciting event that was. Out of the Makana project came a collaborative governance model. The model said, understand your situation, contextual understanding of locality, data access, local issues need to be clearly understood, attitudes, priorities, and relationships need to be rebuilt. And once that had been done, there was a focus on a municipal empowerment, coherent and municipality, both political and administration, is the key focus here, because if you're going to be a collaboration partner, you need to be effective at what you do and need to be trusted in the community. And there was also a need for extensive community stakeholder empowerment. Municipalities needed to be helped to be empowered and to be structured and to be organized so that they could engage the municipality in a meaningful way. And this was all, in Makana case, was all driven by the municipality. And once you get this collaborative environment together, you now have stakeholder mobilization. All stakeholders put their hands together, agree on priorities, select projects, design solutions, and implement for socioeconomic development impact in communities. This model is something Kagiso is taking around the country at the moment and advocating for adoption by municipalities, provincial governments, and national government. Another project where collaborative governance played out quite effectively is in this STR project. This was a project we did with in collaboration with the Department of Cooperative Governance, and this project was about small town regeneration. The pictures I show you of the site that was really successful, where people came together. That those tables in the street you see are where people chose a street that would bring both the marginalized and affluent communities together. And they held an evening festivity of music and food where communities came together to appreciate each other and join in partnership to build a better future. This particular project in Piketberg was exceptionally successful. Why? Because the municipality, both councillors and officials, grasped the idea of collaboration with both hands and embraced the community in a position of vulnerability, which allowed them to build trust between the community and the municipality. And then collectively they designed the futures. And many good things have come out of this project, mostly for youth development and local youth development and economic and social development. Katie did another project. We went around to a number of municipalities that are deemed to be reasonably successful in South Africa, and we came up with the following attributes that lead to successful municipalities. The first one is create institutional common purpose, the why. And so when we talk about customer centricity, the why of a municipality is really to service its communities in the best possible way to lift them up for prosperity and give them the opportunity to grow their socioeconomic status. The next one was long-term planning. Planning was done as a tick in the box exercise. It was done with community, in collaboration with community, and long-term plans were implemented and were implementable and were budgeted for. Strong institutional systems. The municipality was a trusted partner because the community saw the municipality as a lifeline in terms of providing services and opportunity and an enabling environment. And also the municipality enabled the community and empowered them to be a good collaboration partner. Strict compliance with government regulations wasn't a target. It was a basic requirement for everybody who worked in that institution. If you didn't adhere to government regulations and legislation, you were read the Right Act and asked to leave. So this wasn't something people celebrated as a target and an achievement. It was a basic requirement in the institution. The next one, community centricity, service delivery and engagement. This is when municipalities spent a lot of time engaging communities about the future, but not only engaging communities about planning, engaging communities about progress, educating communities about the role of civil society and communities and the role of the municipality for communities, and also elevated the importance of community accountability in the local government system. Cohesion between political and administrative leadership, a clear understanding of roles and responsibility, no political interference in administration. Municipal managers were given the agency to run the institution, and council held that municipal manager accountable for service delivery and community centricity. This was key, and all the municipalities agreed with that. Avoidance of political cadre deployment. Cadre deployment was something that was always considered, but if cadre deployment was going to be going to compromise the integrity of the municipality, then it was avoided. But obviously, when two candidates were of equal capability and one was aligned with the politics, they were selected. But there wasn't going to be anyone chosen and put in positions that wasn't competent to develop. And in many cases, the municipality headhunted within that community. Talent development and staff empowerment. There was low turnover of staff. There was a high level of staff development and capabilities and skills to make sure that they could do their jobs and then could be held accountable. And low staff turnover, institutional memory retention. So people grew up through the municipality, and that was really important. So those are some of the quick key lessons learned from that research. Anybody who would like the research paper, please contact me and I'll provide it to you. But what was really important here is all of these institutions understood their purpose to serve community and implement the constitutional mandate of the municipality. They also understand the processes that they needed to and action needed to take in order to achieve their purpose. And they also managed to measure the results in terms of what was achieved. And why was this important? Because if you don't establish your why and you only focus on the how and the what of your institution, you're going to be policing people forever and a day. But if you get everybody aligned with a common purpose and the why, what happens is people pitch up to work with passion and deliver without being policed, and you can rely on your staff to deliver what they need to do. So I think the question I pose here is ask yourself, what is your institutional purpose? And is that purpose broadly accepted across the institution? The 5 key principles of collaboration, and anything that goes wrong, if you adopt these 5 principles and you ask yourself the question, when something goes wrong, which principle did we not adhere to? The first one is being open, encourage a free exchange of ideas and feedback and concerns without any judgment. So everyone's opinion is taken equally, both within the institution and within community. Collaborative intentions work together towards a shared goal, building trust and mutual respect. The third, self-accountability, take responsibility for your actions and commitments within the group, and also hold others to account. Problem solving and negotiation, tackle issues creating new ideas and agreeing through positive discussion and compromise. And the last one, awareness of self and others. Practice empathy, active listening, and understanding different perspectives. Just because someone has a different idea to you doesn't make you their enemy. Just because someone has a different religion to you doesn't make you their enemy. And just because you serve different political parties don't make you enemies. It's those differences that actually give our institutions strength. So the inner work support for municipality and how it plays out, and we're doing this in the SALGA and CSR project. We work with leadership and department heads and do some inner work. Are we changing people's perspective? Are we moving from egocentric to system-centric? Once we get that right, we then start affecting the institutional operational teams. And when operational teams are ready to absorb capacity building and skills transfer, we then think that it is the right time. If we train people that are not motivated or don't have a common purpose or don't pitch up for the right reason, we're wasting our time. So we need people to be ready and open to absorb new information and skills and capacity building. Once that happens, we can expect enhanced outputs and better organizational performance. And when we get better organizational performance, we have satisfied constituencies. And when we have satisfied constituencies, we can build collaborative governance. And this is where the magic happens. But what we don't have to wait for, we don't have to wait for the municipality to be fully functional and perfect. We can build both these elements at the same time. And what's important, and which is in all our case studies has been proved to work more effectively, is the municipality has the power to lead the process and enable communities to actively engage government, not through dissemination of information, but real, authentic, open engagement about planning and the prospect of the future. This is the implementation model. I'm not going to talk much about this. There are 4 phases here. One is to create a municipal task team, and the municipal task team create a community task team. Then you can lay the groundwork and understand the local landscape and start engaging people around their perspectives on the future, and then explore building capabilities and based on radical collaboration. And it's in stage 4 that you get to a point where you can design and resolve the issues locally and prioritize issues. But in the interest of time, I won't elaborate first more on this. I think as a parting sort of comment, we need to assess the quality of thoughts of people. We don't listen to their words, and your communities won't listen to your words anymore, but they want to watch your actions. So beware of more about what you do than about what you say, because our communities have been promised many things over the past number of years and have seen little action. So people want to trust your actions and not your words. And like the picture on the left says, even though that girl is holding up a sign, be kind, it doesn't look like she really wants to be kind. And that's how communities are starting to view government. So let's be very conscious about how we act more than what we say. Going forward in terms of collaborative governance and what we're doing as Kagiso Trust, we are developing a playbook with all the partners on the right hand side there: Salga, Kagiso Trust, CSR, KC, Institute of Inner Works, Synagos, and SitePlan. And we are this year going to be seeding a community of practice. So if there's anybody on the webinar that's interested in being part of a community of practice, we're interested in knowing who you are, so please contact us. And what the intention of the playbook is to provide a structured, organized system that the community of practice can go out and implement in their local communities and within their municipalities. And the community of practice will be both municipal practitioners, politicians, and non-government organizations and members of community. The challenge for all of us going forward is we need to forget about the past. We need to bury the hatchet and bury the types of relationships we have, or the grudges we have with each other. We need to overcome that. It's something that's past. We need to focus on the future. We need to now, more than ever before in South Africa, build solid relationships for lasting success. We need to embrace our enemies as our friends. We need to make sure that we take the time to have that cup of coffee with someone who we've disliked for a long time and bridge that gap. We as municipalities need to get closer to our communities and build that relationship with our communities. Why? Because creating an enabling environment will solve any challenge that you have. Because we need to focus about getting the right people around the table. And municipalities don't have to take the brunt of development on their own shoulders. They can collaborate with local stakeholders, and this can be a shared responsibility between communities, business, and municipalities. So going forward, focus on creating an enabling environment that will be able to solve any challenge that is socio or economic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul and Kagiso Trust. Can we welcome the presentation, colleagues and councillors? I think it was a brilliant presentation and simplified to show us that it is doable. Whatever we want to do with the right mind and right leadership and right determination can be done. Thank you once again, Paul, and thank you, Kagiso Trust. Colleagues, let me say this: we're not going to take questions for now, comments for now. We're going to take 3 presentations. Please note whatever you want to note down. And then after the last presentation, we are going to thoroughly engage on these matters. I see the hands, colleagues who would want to talk. Can you put back the agenda so that we move to the next presenter? But I think looking at what Paul has spoken about, I think he highlighted issues that maybe many of us might be aware of. Firstly spoke about the gap between government and communities, between municipalities and communities. And from there, he started giving us what they've been doing as Kagiso Trust. And let me actually tell you, delegates, that we as SALGA have a memorandum of understanding or an MOU to work together so that they bring in this wealth of information and engagement with the civil society and the willingness of the people to work with municipalities. So our task as SALGA is to bring municipalities closer to the civil society organizations and communities like the Kagiso Trust. Thank you very much, Paul. And then I think he went on to give you what they've been doing in Makana. There are different strategies, and I think he posed a series of questions that needs to be answered by leadership and a few municipalities where they are, which would be something that might actually be taken over by all municipalities in the country. There was that concept of why, how, and what. which is very interesting, the key principles of meaningful collaboration. I think today we are actually putting collaboration bare. We are skinning it to fully understand what collaboration means, because many a time we use these phrases without fully understanding them. And I like the fact that he started by explaining at the beginning of his presentation what government or governance mean. What government or governance mean. And I think he did go deeper into showing what do we mean when we talk about government. And I don't think many people have have actually gone that deep into understanding what government means. Now, colleagues, as you are noting what these speakers are going to say, I said to you they are very knowledgeable activists, academics. You call them what you might want to call them after they present. I think the pudding will be tasted by you, and then you are the ones who will be judging what actually our presenter will have said at the end of the session. As the next presenter prepares himself, I want to go through his biography. Mr. Gerish Dyer is our next presenter, our counselors and colleagues. Gerish, can you start now putting your presentation as I go through your biography? Mr. Gerish Dyer is the program lead of Compact, which is coming from the side of Public Affairs Research Institute known as PARI. Gerish is currently the program lead on behalf of the Public Affairs Relations Institute on an EU co-funded program known as Compact, a program that we are actually doing with the PARI and then Integrity Action, focusing on enhancing public participation at local level. Compact is partnering with 12 local municipalities in 6 provinces and is piloting 12 tools towards the enhancement of public participation and planning. Gerish has 25 years and more of experience working in public administration at all tiers of South African government. Past experiences include German Development Corporation, or DG, yeah, that thing GIZ. Let me go there. I can't pronounce those names. And GmbH, National Treasury, provincial and local governments, and academic focusing on governance, public administration, financial management, microeconomic policy, economic development, especially through capacity building initiatives. Gerish has advanced skills in project management, intergovernmental relations, change management, and business processing. Gerish furthermore headed a study tour group to France, Brazil, Netherlands, and Germany to understand the best practices in governance among other governmental matters of interest. Can we put our hands together, colleagues and councillors, for Mr. Gerish Dyer to take us through his presentation? Gerish, are you ready? Over to you, Gerish. And colleagues and councillors, I am appreciating how you are actually conducting yourself. We are now 286, and I've not even had somebody unmuted or in disorder. That is actually a commendable behavior. We are not seeing Gerish. Can somebody find Gerish for us? Oswini, is Gerish connecting? Can I get an indication whether Gerish is connecting? And if it's not available for now, we would have to save time by moving to the next presenter. Oswini, can you assist? Is Gerish around? Romani,
I
is
call he
Gerish
look
around?
call it looks like he's on the platform. Maybe he's having just challenges connecting. Maybe give him a sec. If not, then we can move to Prof and then come back to Gerlish.
Yeah, let's for now keep waiting for Gerish and maybe going back to reflecting on the work that was done, the presentation that was done by Paul. I think at the conclusion of his presentation, Paul showed us that it talked about the implementation framework. If you want something done, you need to actually to purposefully put together the machinery. So the framework would become the machinery of implementation. But I think he showed that at the top of this will be the political will, not necessarily the political will alone, but with all those that are given the responsibility to perform their responsibilities to do so and do so with communities around. And I think throughout the presentation, colleagues, we were able to actually see that when you start talking collaboration, it means now you shift from where you are to get closer to working with other people. Which means if you were protecting your power by not going and meeting other people, when we talk collaboration, we are actually unlocking you from where you are and then moving you closer to where you have to work with other people who have ideas that might contribute to what your municipality want to do. Colleagues, I'm doing so trying to buy time so that Gerish gets connected. But I think if Gerish is not actually being able to connect now, we would need now to save time by moving to the next presenter. And the next presenter is one of the shining lights in this republic. I've met him personally. Prof, are you available for to take over from where Gerish was supposed to? Because I think we are
Hi,
struggling.
Colin. Yes, I can take over.
You can take over.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, councillors and colleagues. Now we go through a bio, which is actually on its own a document of things that Prof. Onkopotse Madumo, Associate Professor, University of Pretoria, has done. I'm going to go through it like I've went through the other two. The bio is that Onkopotse Senatla Madumo is a seasoned scholar serving as an associate professor of public administration. Oh, Prof, my apologies. Gerish has just flooded
Okay.
the presentation.
All right.
Can we
Okay.
do the honors and allow him to
All
go
right.
through?
Okay.
But thanks for having volunteered.
Sure.
Yeah, Gerish, the platform is yours. Can we welcome Gerish's presentation and forgive him for having struggled to connect? I've met him as well. He's somebody that I think was born before technology or so. Yeah, so the struggles is actually yeah, Gerish, over to you.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good morning to everyone present today. My apologies for the delay in me screening. Sometimes technology gets the better of us, although you think you're on top of it. But a warm welcome to all the councillors, honourable councillors. Thank you for joining us today to hearing on some of the collaborative efforts. Very important for me this morning is to say that collaboration might be a buzzword, but it's important that we start to put our minds to thinking what collaboration really means at a local government level. And the whole issue around collaboration is the working together in order to bring about a municipality that can see a future with all stakeholders in it. This is an important thinking on our behalf of how we look at collaboration. So who are we? And that would be a good point to start off with. And so you might have seen number of occasions the term compact and who is this compact. So compact is a 4-year co-funded by the European Union, and I say co-funded because the 3 implementing partners are also funding and putting funding into the process, and that is the Public Affairs Research Institute, that's PARI, where I'm from, SALGA at the national level and at the provincial colleagues, and Integrity Action is a UK-based company that supports us with a number of tech issues and so forth. We have 12 partner municipalities across the 6 provinces in South Africa, and I'll share them with you later. And the aim of Compact is really to enhance local government accountability through public participation and planning. Now, the enhancement of public participation is critical in our understanding that collaboration takes an equal role in getting public participation really well. We also have a thinking that public participation is not only at an IDP, although IDP is an essential way, but a person walking into to inquire something at the municipality or complain or promote the municipality is also a participatory thinking in that way. So there are many ways of public participation that we are thinking through. The terminology that we came up with is important because as we're dealing with public participation, in our term compact refers to the community, central. And then pact are all the stakeholder relationships that involves with the community stakeholders, such as the municipal administration, the councillors, the you name it. There's many stakeholders that relate to the community in order for their services to be well provided for. So these are the 12 partner municipalities in the 6 provinces. You might want to inquire, how did you come about it? But very diligently so, through SALGA National Office, through PARI, and through a lot of other documents. In 2022, we decided on these, and they had accepted our invitation to partner with them. The design of the program is really in a 5-pillar phase, where important, and I want to put some emphasis on this, is that we undertook action research. Action research meaning that we went to the ground and we did something like 635 interviews in these 12 municipalities to understand what people are thinking through public participation. And really the public participation, we need to get to the gist of where are people in terms of their thinking or defining public participation. Then prototyping, you might see on pillar 3, is really how do we take that research work, a deep dive into the research work to understand what type of effects can enhance public participation. And naturally, we came up with some type of tools. We have 12 tools that we have developed, and of which one is a collaboration tool. I move on to say, why then a toolbox? So a toolbox is an easy, accessible place, like you could see on the picture there, where we think these tools would be available, and they would be available on SALGA's website, and so too on PARI's website, for municipalities, for councillors, for community members to access in order, if there is an issue where they cannot move forward. And so these tools are designed, currently we are designing a number of tools to get the enhancement. Importantly is communication. And we feel this is we need to pay a lot of attention to in the local government space, communication. Remember, 11 languages and everyone wanting to understand a concept in their own way. Compact has developed 12 tools, and these are the 12 tools, and I'll be talking on the second tool on local government collaboration. I want to just emphasize that citizen-based monitoring, the first tool, is that we train citizens on how to monitor projects by the municipality, especially infrastructure projects. For example, laying a water pipe across Ward 1 and 6 and 7. We train citizens to monitor those wards. They must understand the specifications. They must understand the safety regulatory aspects around those. They must understand the timelines. They must understand who is working around them, so that this information, the monitor who is from the ward, this information then gets feed back to the municipality. And there we see that communication issue coming through. Now, a lot of protest happens, and we all know this, that protests can become violent sometimes. And so it is the lack of communication that we're really wanting to tackle in many of these 12 tools that we're working with. Allow me to then to work to go to the next slide, and here we would talk around excuse me, this thing is playing up again. One second. Okay, thank you. Local collaboration. So this presentation gives us a background, an overview. Now, please remember that we are developing, we are piloting, we are thinking through a process of collaboration. And so this is still in its developmental stage, and we already seen some progress towards that. The presentation, the whole idea that Compact aims to enhance local government planning, and this is important for collaboration. Collaboration is, and we're piloting it in two local municipalities, namely Newcastle local municipality, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and Blue Crane Route local municipality. But before we get into that, let's talk about the assignment and how did we come to think about this. So Salga National had developed a tool called the Stakeholder Engagement Tool. We looked at this tool and we understood where the issues were regarding stakeholder engagement or participation, if you want to call that, or collaboration. Where is it lying at? And the assignment was obviously then to review the stakeholder engagement tool and determine and build a model. Now, the thinking here is we went through every piece of legislation, and every piece of legislation is directing either the administration or the political bearers of the municipality to ensure that there is engagement with the community. What's missing is the how to collaborate. So, while it's good enough to say that we can ensure, we must ensure that we are engaging, we need a type of thinking of how we're going to engage. So this was our thought process in terms of getting to this assignment of developing a model to the how of collaborating. Obviously, this contributes to rolling out the concept, which we are at the moment, enhancing public participation to the best in that way. And some of the case studies that we have already seen already shows this perspective. So these are the resources, should I say, that we reviewed in terms of getting a model or a concept going in terms of how best to collaborate. There was the CLEAR model, Systems Leadership for Sustainable Development Project, and that really showed us a lot of ways of which to build a model in this way. I must say the Western Cape, the EDP partnering framework really worked well, and Colin and myself attended a meeting with them on Monday, having an engagement with them to understand what their thinking was around collaboration. The leading change and transversal management programs, and many others, the city partnering, the SDG partnership, all these models we looked at to understand how can we come up with a good model of collaboration. Now, interesting is that we first had to look at the spaces that we are working with. Now, the different types of the provided space. We know this provided space really well. There's the IDPs, there's budgets, the SDPIPs, and so forth. But the popular space is about from the community side, there's petitions and lobbying and marches and so forth. But we're not getting this, we're not getting that, and and so that we try to define some of the spaces that we are working in. The furious space, which I alluded to earlier, is those protests that is very destructive and so forth. And we needed to recognize those spaces. And then obviously the checked out space, no point in engaging with the municipality, hopeless, cannot do, But there is solutions in which we can drive this thing forward, Now, we also looked at what would be the challenge in terms of collaboration. Now, you'll see these three circles, and each representing the three key stakeholders at the local government level. Firstly, the community, then the political bureaus, and then the municipal administrators. They are apart at the moment, and within themselves, they are also apart. We often hear silo effects in a municipality. Project management unit not talking to the speaker's office and blah blah blah, and it's really not coordinated. Same with the political bearers, ward committees, and ward councillors, and so forth, and speaker's office. There are some rumblings going on there that we need to look at and pay attention to and understand where that issues are. In the communities, we have ratepayers associations, we have business, we have church associations, we have sports associations, we have various associations that are not talking to each other. And the whole aim is, and the principal thinking is, that we are not talking to each other, that we want to start to institute the thinking of how do we start talking to each other. And so obviously very methodologically and academically, we're saying this could be a possibility. Reality could be changed otherwise, but nonetheless, we're saying that if collaboration can look at these three areas and start to build within each of these circles a collaborative effort, eventually we'll get to a quotient that will then allow us, all three key stakeholders, to be talking to each other in a more fruitful way. And it can happen. It definitely can happen if we get ourselves talking and thinking through how better we can work with it. And obviously, we need to have a design that will facilitate a process to get to this point. So that's the ultimate, a quotient that will help us to think through how we can be talking to each other better. So what is collaboration? And look, there's many definitions here. And I think the next speaker might also come up with some type of definition here. But in the context of compact and really focusing on local government, we're saying collaboration can be understood as three main groups pooling their their skills, knowledge and resources to achieve innovative responses and solutions. And therefore, my statement at the beginning that we think local government, IDP, integrated development planning, is about building a municipality, sustaining it, and building a future for that municipality. We as people, we come and go, but the municipality is going to stay. And how do we ensure that we pool our resources as people in order to make the next few years and the next decades a better municipality, a growth municipality, so to speak? So when we did our engagement and through the stakeholder engagement, we found that there's a level of interest and a level of influence. And in how do they play out? Now, very well that we inform municipalities, inform citizens. This is what's happening, either through newspapers or through some means of communication, WhatsApp groups and so forth. And what we heard a lot of when we did our research was loud hailing, and they would go around in a van and loud hail and say, "There's an IDP meeting on this afternoon, please attend," and blah blah blah. So that is about an informing space, but we need to get past that informing space to a good level. Then we start to consult. And we start to talk, but sometimes the consulting is a one-way approach to giving off ideas and so forth. And then we start involving people to board committees and so forth to get things moving. But the ultimate high level of interest and influence would definitely be a collaborative, which is a kind of missing space at the moment. But let's get to it. We can build these. This webinar is about building that steps towards a collaborative talking space where we can build together a better municipality for our people in the future, especially our next generation. And so this is the model that we've developed. There's 5 stages. Central to it has a purpose. Excuse me. So the purpose also has a lot of planning in it. There's a lot of pre-planning to think through the purpose. We could come up with various topics, but the model would apply to this. And I'll give you an example or two as we go along. So ideally, let's identify what we call through mind mapping an idea. Now, allow me then just to go to the Newcastle thinking. When we had a chat to the municipality, the senior management of the municipality, their sticking point was LED, local economic development. And when we asked, okay, we know local economic development is a huge problem. But what in local economic development? Yeah? They said to us, spaza shops. So we thought, okay, what's going on with spaza shops? What's happening? And then we further went into spaza shops, that there were foreign owners, that the landlords were just converting garages into shops without registering the process. And when we went deeper, we found that the spaza shops were selling outdated food. And that was a national topic, a debate at the moment. And so when we get to a root cause of a purpose, we can really dig deep to understand where that purpose is. At that point, we chose sponsor shops and we went on to the next level, and that is making sense of the challenge. What is it that now you might see the term emotional intelligence there, and each one of us have our own unique way of thinking, our own cultures, our own and how do we bring that into a common space? How do we lend that good vibrations into a common space? Some we have to let go, some we have to give in. And this is what emotional exchanges. How much of culture of our own do we bring to it, or how much into a common space with their varying cultural perspectives? How do we build trust amongst each other around the table to get this right? Once we got through that kind of space, we start to solve the problem of sponsorships in the example that I quoted. I'm going fast through this, but there is a deep thinking process that will manage through this. The next phase would be then after identifying the problem and building solutions. Now, before I go to vision and hope, it's the problem solving is that you got community members, you got councillors, you got administration. In the case of Newcastle, they brought in provincial players to assist them to think through the process. So collaborative effort can start with a small nuclear and grow into that space. So that we come with different ideas, but at the end of the day, we find a space of where we can find a vision and hope that we're going to be moving forward into that. And so we have a shared vision to that. Obviously, we need to be adaptable and we need to be accountable, and we need to recognize who's accountable in this environment and bring forth those thinking of accountability. And then reflecting and learning is a process that after during and after the process we start to reflect. Have we done this in the right way? Can we go back a step or two, move forward again, correct the space, move forward, and so forth? Or we find another problem and we use this problem as a tool or a guidance to help us through that. We try to use simplistic language in the whole process because we're dealing with all levels of society here. You know, I'm not saying anything untoward, but it's important that is. A further issue is in other tools that we produce the manual in different languages so that a person doesn't come stuck in the thinking or the flow of the thinking when they can't understand a word or two, but can stand it better in their own vernacular. And this is important, that we in South Africa, we need to start that process. Although we use English, we need. And so we adopted as a compact program 5 languages of the 11 languages, which we think will suit the process for people to better understand that, and a really community-driven process. And that is then the model that we are applying. In the case of Blue Plain Route, there's a little township called Pearston, or a suburb, Pearston, and they weren't receiving water. We brought the municipal administration, senior management into the room, community into the room, the councillors into the room, and we started talking. And it was about maintenance of a pump and so forth. And we resolved it. But the problem was that they weren't receiving water for 2 years. But the mayor wasn't aware of that issue. So, collaborative effort using a tool like this can help to stimulate a thinking process. Chair, I won't be long hereafter, but we're looking at getting clear about why it makes some sense to get together. You know this. I think the audience know this very well, all 300 of us, that we see this often, and it's not to say that the community cannot lend towards fixing those potholes. They can. And when you start talking to them, engaging with them, or councillors coming to the table and say, guys, let's really get this thing going, you'll find an enormous sense of willingness by all 3 parties to really engage to get this going, because when we together we discuss what are the issues. So imagine there was a cafe down the road, this road here, and this guy needed to carry his goods from town to his shop on a road of this nature. Obviously, the guy who's in business, he wants his business to work. The communities around him want certain products. We get to that space, where we're going to help each other. However, we're going to find a solution to fix that road. So these are typical purposes of that, of the model. Then making sense of the challenge. There's many complex ways and uncomplex ways of getting to where that challenge is. How do we build this amongst us, the trust that we need in order to talk to each other and get that problem solved, because together we can, definitely. Then vision and hope. Really, the competencies are really a shared vision. Communication again, communication. We can't but emphasize more on communication in that way. Implementing and adapting the model. There's certain ways that we direct you into the what and so what and now what. How do we go about doing this implementation? Who comes to the party? How do we get this thing going? And in reflecting and learning, synthesis of the application and finding, did we close? Did we monitor? Did we evaluate the whole process? Are all 3 key stakeholders in the local government municipality happy about where we are? Can we go to the next topic and so forth? So it's small steps, but it takes and it works to a significant extent. Obviously, there's a a selection criteria. But Chair, I think I would not want to go into this right now. You could do this in your own reading of how we would go about this. Most important for me, and the message I'd like to say today, that there is a tool in development of how, and simplistically so, how we can start to talk to each other in order to build a better municipality for the future of our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-great-grandchildren to come, that we leave a legacy of hope for our future in that way. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, that was Gerish Daya from the Compact team. It is a program that is on, a project that is on. We're working with them from the Salga side and those municipalities. We are familiar with this work, but we are looking forward to actually expanding it to other municipalities that are not participating in it. And thank you once again, Girish. Can we applaud Girish for a well-packaged presentation and presented well as well? We thank you very much, Girish. Colleagues, I said we will be taking comments and questions and clarity-seeking questions after the last presentation, but let me confirm one thing to you, that we are going to share all this presentation. I've seen in the chat box that there are people who are requesting to receive this presentation. And I think when you were registering, you should have sent even your credentials, especially your email address. And then we will, after this session, share the presentation. And we also request presenters to share these presentations after their presentations so that we are able to share this with councillors and colleagues. I see now we're still actually having a high number, 303 people are on the platform. Thank you very much for keeping connected, because many a time people keep coming and going, which means our subject is highly interesting and it's a highly sought after engagement because of what one can say is an evolution of public participation. Now, the person who will be coming would be Professor Madumo. When Professor Madumo is still preparing himself, I'm going to say a few things about Geresh's presentation on collaboration tool that they are putting together as Impact. For now, focusing on 12 municipalities, but Salga's intentions, colleagues, is to expand it beyond 12 municipalities between now and forever, because it ends next year. So when it ends, it should start a very huge new life. So Gerish mentioned a few things that I think you might have noted, like when you posed the question, what is collaboration? And I think plugging in from the previous presentation, he actually gave an in-depth explanation or definition of what collaboration is, and went on to share with us the model, the compact model that they are using, which they are calling it a catalytic collaboration model, and gave example of the work that was done in what we are doing actually in Newcastle. And another thing that's quite important when we work with communities is to be as simple as we can. Like he mentioned, the issue of us having to use simple language, and Compact has adopted to use 5 local popular languages where they go. Like if they go to Northwest, they know that they would use English and Setswana. When they go to Eastern Cape areas, isiXhosa will have to be there. And they have also converted some of their documents into that. Now, let us now be prepared to receive a presentation by Professor Madumo. So to brag to you, councillors and colleagues, I requested one of my trusted colleagues. I think I like to listen to her when she speaks. So I requested my colleague Lerato Malibe from our Limpopo office to actually present before this session Professor Madumo's bio. Lerato, can you now lead us through the presentation of Professor Madumo's bio so that when you are done, then Professor Madumo will be enticed to come and join Salga, maybe. Thank you very much. Lerato, over to you. Lerato? You can now share the presentation, the bio for Professor Madumo.
Okay, thank you very much, Colin. Yes, I was just requesting for you to unmute my mic. Should I share the bio or just read it? Hello, can you hear me, Colin?
Yeah, you can use both methods. You can share and read it. But for now, I see Professor has already flattered the presentation. Maybe for now, read it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Onkgopotse Senatla Madumo is a seasoned scholar serving as an associate professor of public administration at the School of Public Management and Administration at the University of Pretoria. He has previously worked at the University of Johannesburg as a senior lecturer in public management, governance, and public policy. He possesses bachelor's and an honors degree in public management, master's degree in public administration, and a doctorate in public administration, all from the University of Pretoria. Professor Onkgopotse Madumo currently serves as an associate editor of Local Economy Journal and also serves in its editorial brand in ex officio capacity. Prof. Madumo is also a member of the editorial committee of Administratio Publica, an esteemed journal in the discipline of public administration. He was also a co-leader of a research cluster that is supported by the South African BRICS think tank, SABTT, and the National Institute of the Humanities and Social Science, NIHSS, from 2020 to 2022, where he received a grant to conduct research on comparative studies on public-private partnership. Prof. Madumo serves as an interim chief editor of Administratio Publica Journal, January to June, in both 2021 and 2023. He was widely published articles in peer-reviewed journals and book chapters. He has further presented research papers in both domestic and international conferences. Prof. Madumo has been invited as a keynote speaker in various fora, including the Western Cape Provincial Department of Local Government, Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Mandela Washington Fellowship convening. He has supervised to completion and numerous master's candidates and has a few PhD candidates. He has also examined numerous postgraduates, dissertations, and theses, and acts as a moderator for coursework modules for other universities. Professor Madumo has served as a consultant for several research projects, including the South African Local Government Association's Social Cohesion Project, SANRAL's Road Safety Education Project, and the determination of the roles and functions of the different spheres of government by the Office of the Republic, the President of South Africa. He further involved in numerous research projects with collaborators from the universities and research entities in South Africa and some from Tanzania, United Kingdom, Russia, and North America. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Onkgopotse Madumo. Thank you.
Yeah, Prof, that's how we are actually bringing you on board. That was Lerato. It was a deliberate move so that the bio is on itself a presentation. Thank you very much, Lerato, for that. I knew you were not going to disappoint. Prof. Madumo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Colin, and good morning to colleagues, councillors, and other stakeholders that have joined us in this particularly important webinar. I have a disclaimer to make, Colin. When I was requested to come and do a presentation, I was specifically requested not to develop slides, but us coming from universities, we always want something as a basis for making reference. But nonetheless, what I've done was I've tried to compact my slides to shorten them such that they become more impactful and as well as quite specific and direct. So I've got a few slides here. At most, I think it's about 4 slides that I would like to speak to. Mostly, I will be speaking to the points that I have generated in the slides. Now, firstly, I think what is important for us to first understand and appreciate with respect to the concept of collaborative governance is to try and have an understanding of why collaborative governance is somewhat essential, specifically in the local sphere of government. The first thing that comes to mind is the core design of public policies within the local sphere of government, the co-creation of projects, programs within the local sphere of government, and the co-production of services within municipalities. And with that having been said, this is somewhat the basis of collaborative governance. Now, collaborative governance is understood to refer to a process where government and non-governmental stakeholders, which would include civil society, like Compact and Kagiso Trust in this instance, private sector, communities, to collectively engage in decision making. Oh, okay. Just a moment. The slides. So, all right. So I'm just going to. All right. Let me go. Okay. So I was informed that my slides were not moving as I was talking. So I'll try to share them. All right.
Yeah, and they were also blurry on my side, and then you are not also very visible.
Okay. Are they clear now? Are they clear now? Still the same.
Okay. The quality is not improved, but I think you can go on for the sake of time. We wish we could see your face, Prof.
Oh, okay. Maybe let me switch off the slides, and I will then let me stop sharing, and then I'll just use the Are you able to see my face though?
Yeah, you are visible, but not very clear. We see that there's a human being on the camera.
Okay, all right. Okay, let me use.
Yeah, but if there are challenges, we are still a third world country, Prof. Go on, and then we will sort it in other engagements.
All right. Pardon me.
Yeah, you look better now, Prof.
Can you hear me now, Colin?
Yeah, I can hear and see you clearly now.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Go on.
All right. Thank you. So as I was saying, so collaborative governance it's primarily, so what I'll do, Colin, is I will share the slides. It's only about 4 slides with points within those slides. So you will just share with colleagues. As I was saying, in terms of collaborative governance, the necessity of collaborative governance is such that municipalities need to rethink the manner in which they, design, and this has to include, it has to appreciate the fact that stakeholders, civil society, amongst others, have to be consulted, and they have to be part of the co-design, the co-creation, and as well as the co-production of public policy, goods and services that municipalities are particularly responsible for. Now, collaborative governance is defined as a process where government and non-governmental stakeholders, for example, the civil society, private sector, and as well as communities, collectively engage in decision making. Why is decision making necessary or important in local government? Decision making, it's the cornerstone of governance, particularly in the local sphere of government. Why is it the cornerstone? It's because through decision making, services such as waste removal, services such as provision of potable water, electricity, and so on and so forth, is attainable or is achieved. Collaborative governance, however, it has a number of characteristics. And one of the characteristic that I want to, discuss a bit more is that of sharing authority and responsibility within the collaborative partners. Collaboration, it's not, and as you have seen in the previous presentations, collaboration, it's at the end or towards the end where we could assume that the citizens has the power. So meaning that the involvement of the citizens has been maximized such that, citizens feel empowered and they feel that their contribution, it's, is worthwhile in government or within government structures. Now, in terms of this shared authority and responsibility, the municipalities or the local sphere of government does not have to necessarily, deal with it does not have to necessarily deal with the whole role of making decisions all by themselves without necessarily, involving the stakeholders. Now, the second element or characteristic is that of inclusive stakeholder engagement. And by inclusive, it does not necessarily mean that going to those stakeholders and saying, well, this is the problem that we have. How do we, get to resolve this particular problem? It implies getting together and developing a framework that would allow for, views of the various stakeholders together with those of the views of the municipalities or of local government to come up with, a well-coordinated and rational decision. There is also another characteristic of consensus-oriented decision making, and as well as ongoing communication and transparency. Ladies and gentlemen, the basis for collaborative governance can be established from the Constitution. When you get to refer to Section 152 of the Constitution, specifically paragraph 1, subsection E, it speaks to the involvement of community members within the affairs of of local government. And by virtue of involving community members, you are, enhancing or appreciating the collaborative elements. When you look at Chapter 4 of the Systems Act, again, it speaks to community participation, and the way in which we have re-evaluated the whole concept of collaborative governance, it comes across as a new concept, as a novel concept, whereas we have been doing it, and pieces of legislation have given us, the powers to actually, collaborate. As to whether it has been successful or effective in the past, it really is a question for another day. The white paper on local government, again, it touches on the fact that well, the previous one, not the one that we are to review. It touched on the ideal municipality wherein it had to be developmental in its character, and some of the characteristics of that kind of a municipality and a developmental, local government, is that it has to maximize social and economic development. It has to also look into integrating and coordinating. It has to also ensure democratic development, and as well as building social capital. And all those elements, when you look at them, you cannot achieve them without, involving others. I mean, if I were to ask a question about some of the frameworks that are established to try and promote this collaborative governance. What comes to mind is the district development model, for example. When you look at the district development model and you want to say, for example, ask what value would the district development model, bring about in municipalities, whereas in its current nature, the municipality has an integrated development plan. Is this not a duplication of some sort? It really is a question. An IDP does not necessarily, only speak about involving the communities in only the communities in the affairs of the municipality, but it also speaks about involving other stakeholders. And is this not what the district development model ought to make? That's just my question. Now, why is collaboration important in local government? Firstly, as I have already indicated, it enhances decision making. It promotes inclusive planning, wherein people from various stakeholders are able to come in and come up with a compact plan. It ensures that there is democratic development, and it also assists with coordination of programs, and as well as the various projects. Now, there are barriers to effective collaboration, and I've seen that Paul in the beginning spoke about political interference. Ladies and gentlemen, political interference is it's a big problem. It's a big problem because plans and strategies that have been developed oftentimes take a different direction as a result of, the interference that comes from political principals. Administrators and senior managers within municipalities are not able to, do what they are originally appointed to perform, the functions that they have been appointed to perform, and all these are as a result of this challenge of political interference. As to whether legislation can assist in terms of addressing political interference, I am not sure. It's a question that could be explored. And when you look at, for example, the Municipal Systems Act that was amended in 2021, 2022, wherein a particular clause was put in to try and manage, this political influence in municipalities, wherein the word staff members was included, and saying that staff members cannot be, or members of the staff members of a municipality cannot be affiliated, cannot hold political office. So as to whether that assists, I am not sure. But political interference is a huge challenge. The operation of municipalities, municipal departments in silo. It's also another challenge that could serve as a barrier to effective collaboration. Where when a municipality, for example, operates as an entity without necessarily acknowledging what is happening within its environment, and not appreciating some of the skills that may exist within its environment, could pose as a serious challenge to collaboration. The building of public trust. Public trust has, over the years has been eroding, and as a result, government across the three spheres, to a larger extent, are to blame for that, not being responsive, and as a result, people lose confidence in how the government does things, in the responsiveness of the government, and this would also include municipalities. So the issue of building public trust is also a necessity, and as well as lastly, the financial resources. How to effectively collaborate in local government. As I've already indicated, collaboration must not be looked at as a new, a novel kind of an approach, but it has existed in the past, and one of the processes that ensures collaboration is that of the integrated development planning. Um, um, However, in the past, the integrated development planning had been looked at as a planning process which would involve the communities, and to some extent not necessarily acknowledge the presence of other stakeholders. And for example, an example that I could give to you is when the Gautrain was established in the late 2009, beginning 2010. You go to metropolitan municipalities, City of Tshwane, you go to Ekurhuleni, you go to City of Johannesburg, and you look at the IDP documents in those municipalities. None of them actually, incorporated the establishment or the development or construction of Gautrain in their areas, and to an extent, municipalities took a reactive step and tried to work on the back end of that particular project, wherein, for example, in City of Tshwane, REN routes had to be established as a result of the creation of this Gautrain project. Another example would be that of, for example, the Gauteng highway free Gauteng what is it called? Gauteng freeway improvement project, where e-tolls were created, or were created. You go to metropolitan, not even metropolitan, you go to municipalities within the Gauteng freeway improvement project where it took place, and you will not see an acknowledgement of that kind of a project, despite the fact that the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project was done not on a municipal road or even provincial roads, but it was mostly on the national roads that are under the auspices of SANRAL. But to just acknowledge the fact that this is a project that would occur within the jurisdiction of our municipality, would have, somewhat assisted in terms of who would have been responsible for the payment and various other things. Public participation, it's also another a framework that could be used to ensure the effective collaboration of local government, and this can be done in various ways through, for example, mayoral izimbizo, through mayoral lekotlas, and also through utilizing some of the technological advances to try and get in contact or in close connection with the residents or with the communities within the jurisdiction of one's municipality. Public-private partnerships are also another avenue that could be adopted or taken in ensuring that collaboration occurs in local government. And there's quite a few examples that I want to cite in terms of these utilization of these public-private partnerships to ensure collaboration. Buffalo City, for example, the metropolitan municipality had an integrated transport planning with the National Treasury. It was a public-private kind of partnership that would promote or maximize, collaboration. Mogale City, in terms of the municipal private sector waste management partnership, it's also another public-private partnership. The Vaal River cleanup, a national and provincial a project where Sidibeng District Municipality involved some private stakeholders to assist with the cleanup of the Vaal River. So with that being said, Chairperson, collaboration, it's essential, it's important, and it helps quite a lot in terms of decision making, and this whole issue of decisions that would be taken outside of consultation with private stakeholders, ratepayers associations, and community members. And you find municipality being taken to court for over issues wherein they could have easily been resolved at a level where collaboration or participation of community members amongst others. So I think collaboration it really is essential in ensuring proper and adequate decision making. Chairperson, I will leave it there for now. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Prof. Madumo. Let's welcome Prof. Madumo's submission, ladies and gentlemen and councillors. That was an informed academic piece that talks to our realities. I'm not seeing your reaction like I saw it. Let's welcome Professor Madumo's presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I think now that we have received the three presentations, thank you very much for your reaction. You're doing better now. Yeah, Prof took us deeper into the concept, the academic space, the way the academic space sees us as local government, and then went further into talking about this collaboration and asked us a question: why should there be collaboration, or why should collaboration take place within government? And I think he did go deeper into explaining how the process should work, and then took us back to 1998 when we envisioned envisioned a local government. Remember the the white paper on local government, which is presently under review, and spoke about the characteristics of what is supposed to be a municipality in South Africa. You would know them. There are four. For it to be developmental as a contributor to the developmental state, it mentioned those four important characteristics, and I think when he concludes by actually taking a look at the IDP. How is the IDP working against how it was expected actually to work? And there's a question that Prof asked, and which is a question that actually on day-to-day basis we talk about when we do our work. And he asked, can legislation assist in solving political problem? It's something that maybe we should actually also take a deeper look into. That is why, as Salga, we're thinking that now we did what we're supposed to do. Let's talk to the ethics of our leaders, and then we came up with ethical leadership, a project for to try to create ethical institutions through ethical leaders. So thank you very much, Prof. Madumo, for that contribution. And I think you are making it big into the local government space. We are stealing you piece by piece, and all of a sudden we will be having the whole of you in local government. Yeah, councillors, colleagues, now this is the time for us to engage on this issues that were raised. It's 5 minutes past 11. At 12, we should have concluded our business. So I'm seeing a hand. Then I'll take hand by hand. You explain who you are, and let me say you introduce yourself. I'm seeing Wilson Lenin, external. Wilson, you are number one. And then after you, there will be Dolly Govenda. Dolly Govenda will be number two. And then number three will be Zwela Akemoni. Let me take the first three hands, and let's mind time. And if you have I can give you permission to go to more than two questions or comments, not more than that. Let's start with those that I identified. Others, you can actually lower your hands. I'll request your hands again when I get to the second round. Thank you very much. The first one. Unmute yourself and chip in, and then thereafter you'll be followed by Dolly Govenda. If the first one is not available, we jump to Dolly Govenda.
Thank you. Good morning, President. Good morning, Chair. And let me acknowledge and compliment the presenters for the high-level presentation in regards to all aspects that actually has a challenge with municipalities. I just want to make a statement. I don't even want to ask any question on these. Timelessly, these questions come out. Many workshops has been happened. But if we're not going to resolve the putting the right people in the right job, innovative people in the executive position, the factionalism is number two. Number three is the oversight and monitoring. Number four is the corruption. And if we're not going to resolve all that, the community will not respect our leadership as honorable councillors. And we are brushed with the same brush when we go on the ground. And if that can stop, and if that can be reduced, maybe we will find ourselves working together and bringing, more credibility to the municipalities. But that is not happening. The factionalism, the technocrats, working together, they can make a lot of difference. But we find ourselves, the technocrats themselves, wanting each other, but there is no synergy and no communication. Selfishness, I would say in one word. This is what. But the presentations in communication, all those that you have done and which you're going to give us, you're going to email those copies to us. I'll tell you, it's an excellent. We go to all workshops, most of the very same things, but it's put into different concepts. So we acknowledge that for your hard work to bring in this onto the webinar and say, right, let's get the honorable councillors. I mentioned, and I gave it in a very short term, I have no problem with the presentations. We will acknowledge that wholeheartedly and follow those where we have not followed. As you were talking about the IDP, how crucial it is to the community. Does everybody know how crucial it is to the community? You take an IDP and you go on a Meru roadshow, and when that IDPs are not implemented, how do you project yourself as a councillor on the ground? Catholic projects are not even implemented. Water and sanitation, there's still challenges. No waters to the community. That is your number one. That is our number one priority. Water is life. But as you mentioned, one of them mentioned, we want ourselves for self-gain. Each employee or councillors, I wouldn't say councillors. I work with honorable councillors and they go out and they miserably actually come with all those challenges. Back to basic, you cannot have budget. Yet the province sits with 51% of your national budget, province sits with 40%, we sit with 9% as local when we have so much to do on the ground. So much to do on the ground. And I've been reporting this all the time. And the honorable councillors will will do more than what they can if the remunerations are re-looked at every 5-year level. It's not being looked. It's not being looked. We, the technocrats, get everything. The employees get everything. But we, as honorable councillors who work for a term of 5 years, and when we finish the 5-year term, you probably give trainings like this. But are they going to absorb us in the private sector? They're not going to do that. I'm not thinking negative. I'm thinking positive, and that is the real, problems that I have experienced in my life of being a politician and a seasonal politician, of course, in KwaDukuza municipality. I thank you very much, Chair. Those were my comments. But let me also, secondly, I must repeat, the presentations were done at a very high level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you a councillor?
I'm a councillor and a speaker.
Where?
A what councillor and a speaker?
Where?
KwaDukuza municipality.
KwaDukuza. Thank you very much. And maybe let me request those who come after you to be short and brief and tackle an issue or two. Yeah, but we appreciate your submission, and I think our presenters are listening, and they are actually motivated. They will be motivated and do more than what they did today. Wilson Lenin, you were not here when we were calling you. Please introduce yourself and get to your question or comment.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Councillor Wilson Lenin Chauke from the Governbeck local municipality in Mpumalanga. I also serve at the district of Harisibande district municipality. I would like to start by thanking you for providing us with such a beautiful platform where we could engage on issues that do affect us as councillors as well as our municipalities. And I would like to first of all start by applauding and welcoming the presentation by Mr. Paul Smith, Geresh Dyer, as well as Professor Onkgopotse Madumo. Those were quite eye-opening. Let me go straight and dissect into their presentation. I took certain takeaways from Mr. Paul Smith, who talks about burying the hatchet, institutional memory, and all that. These things are not going to be possible. Let me tell you the biggest problem of municipalities. I had a lot to say, but now I have also listened to your call for us to limit our contribution to a minimum. There's a big problem with municipalities. Our biggest problem is that this thing called public participation is just a formality. There is serious channeling going on out there. I doubt even if 10% of input will even come from the communities. That are the people who are supposed to direct the way they are supposed to receive services. Officials are guilty of hegemony in this regard, because when they go to community with their IDP document, they do go there with a skeleton, which is almost a pre-approved, which means whatever the communities are saying, it's just a formality that we have been there, we have listened to them. I don't know what piece of legislation must be put in place to make sure that when the communities actually do talk, whatever they are saying, whatever they are talking actually makes a lot of sense and is incorporated into the public document that is going to be used to try and develop their municipalities. Monitoring of projects was mentioned as part of the things that should be done by community members in collaboration with the municipalities. I doubt if this is going to work, because even councillors themselves, they've tried to go on site and monitor projects that are under construction, but the officials, again, are guilty of hiding information that is pertinent to making sure that the councillors that are on site, including the whole documentation that speaks to that particular project, the percentage completed, as well as how much money has been used. You go to site, they show you things that are shambolic, that, so the professional hand will always have a hand. But now I'll come again to this thing of political mandates and organizational participation in this thing called municipalities. Municipalities are never going to change as long as they are getting a mandate from their political party, which is in charge. It's not one political party that is guilty of this particular one. If you look, we have got many political parties that are already in charge of certain municipalities across South Africa, including the Inkatha Freedom Party, largely in KZN. We do have the Democratic Alliance.
The municipalities are. But what I can tell you is that each and every municipality will reflect exactly
that exist in the political party that is in charge of that particular municipality. What I'm appealing to is that I wish SALGA could have a course like this, could have a webinar like this, directed at political party big wigs, those that are in charge of making policies. Because even when you go to interview a top post in a municipality, the political party already knows which comrade must actually be appointed. You can go as far as you want and do all the scoring and everything. They already know who is supposed to take that particular position. And those are the things that are disturbing municipalities. If we can talk about municipalities receiving a lot of moral lessons from SALGA, I think at the end of the day, we'll have a much better position to improve our local municipalities in South Africa. Thank you.
Maybe
thank you very much.
Call just before you move to the next one. Can I please implore honorable councillors and colleagues on the platform, if we can confine ourselves to today's engagements, so that we can come up with outcomes that are productive and take us forward. There are a lot of challenges in local government, and we know of those challenges. But if we want to get progressive outcomes from today's discussions, can we, and I humbly ask so, honorable councillors, if we and colleagues, if we can keep the discussions confined to today's discussions, please. Thanks.
Yeah, to enhance what Mike is saying, can you maybe when you comment, mention a presentation and then maybe an area of presentation that you want to talk to? Zwela Kemoni, over to you now. You'll be followed by Sean Jacobs, and Jegi Matabate will follow. Go on, Zwela.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you for taking my hand. I must really thank the presenters. They were really straight on point. Wilson spoke to a number of issues that I wanted to raise. I'm not going to go to those issues. One request that I would like to make, is it possible for SALGA to come to where we are? I represent an organization called Jange Tsojana Primary Cooperative in Intsigayetu local municipality. Is it possible for SALGA to come and have some sessions with our municipalities together with stakeholders? Because there seems to be a misunderstanding of a collaborative governance with our local municipalities. I think if we can address those issues with our local municipalities, there's a lot positive that can come out of such sessions. So we try to communicate, and there's a misunderstanding of our job as a civil society by politicians. if you could sort of try and resolve those issues with different local municipalities, I think collaborative governance is a possibility. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zwelakhe. I think we have a colleague. I confirm you are in the Eastern Cape.
Yes.
Yes, we should be having colleagues from the Eastern Cape in the platform. They should note that, and maybe when presenters present, they will mention what will be a principle. But as SALGA, we are noting some of the concerns where we need to be making follow-ups. Thank you very much for that. Shan Jacobs, it's now your turn.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak. And yeah, congratulations and thank you for those very informative presentations from all the presenters. Yeah, something I just wanted to add, and it falls under basically everything I think as well, is just communication from the municipalities via various social media platforms like Facebook, etc., on your pages, your municipal pages, to keep communities informed of progress or challenges. We've done this in Great Car. I'm a councillor in Great Car for the opposition, the DA in Great Car, and I serve on the mayoral executive and on the EXCO. And we have worked very hard together as a unit, all 13 councillors, including the mayor and the speaker. We consult with each other, we assist each other, and then we communicate and put out messages, whether they are positive or negative, or maybe not the messages the community wants to hear. We communicate those messages so that people are kept informed. And by keeping people informed, it creates a better understanding. And this has encouraged our communities to support us and get involved and even assist with certain tasks or projects that we're unable to fund ourselves. But we have put the past behind us, and when we're in council, we work as one unit, one team with one goal, and that's just obviously to deliver to our communities. So yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I think it will benefit us all, and I hope that other municipalities have the same sort of relationship that we all have in our municipality. Even our admin, our all our leadership, everybody works together as a team to try and resolve issues. We don't put it down to politics at the end of the day. It's to getting the job done and just to keep the people informed. Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity. Thank you.
And that is from Great Kai. Thank you very much for breaking to us about the good work that is happening there, especially the element of collaborative work amongst yourselves as councillors and administration. I have now Jackie Mathabate on the platform. She will be followed by Zolani. And after Zolani, I would want now our presenters to actually respond. They will decide on which they are going to respond to or emphasize, because some of the things are not necessarily questions. We don't have questions, but we have comments with some requests. Yeah, so can we take Jackie Mathabate over to introduce yourself first so that we know who you are.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. I'm Jackie Mathabate, AKM Jekana, from the great city of Tshwane. I'm a councillor there of Action SA. One of the questions that I have, colleagues, is what are the strategies that can be implemented to improve transparency and trust among stakeholders in collaborative governance initiatives? My second question would be, which is the last, what role can civil society organization and marginalized communities play in the institutionalization process, and how can their voices be effectively integrated? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mathabate. You made our work very easy. 2 straight questions. Thank you very much. Let's take Zolani as Zonyani. Firstly, introduce.
Good morning. Good morning, Colin, and good morning to all the colleagues. My name is Zolani Zonyane I'm the Public Finance Management Advisor and creator in Ndalo Governance, also a webinar curator and moderator with the Municipal Edge. My first call Chair will be for, I'll say, almost all of us in this webinar, if we have not done so, to sponsor inputs and comments to the current process of the white paper on local government, which has been extended to the 31st of July. I'm raising that, Chair, as my first point because some of the issues that are coming through, which are realities, can also be addressed through this process of reimagining our local government. The point I want to make, which is not a question, but rather something that I normally raise to say some of the challenges that we have, especially around service delivery issues linked to the IDP process. We need to find a way, Chair and colleagues, of not only focusing on phase 2 of the IDP process, because at the moment, more effort is put in the phase 2 between April and May of each year. And then we don't invest time in the first phase, that is between September and November, which is where most of the issues that gets raised when the budget and the IDP has been tabled, those issues need to be raised right at the beginning to allow those priorities to be factored into the IDP and budget. For me, that's the call to say it's something that is doable, but again, we need this collaboration that we're talking about, not only from municipalities or public representatives as institutions, but I'll say all of us, be within the municipalities, as the citizens, as various stakeholders. If we can support that and institutionalize the phase 1 of the IDP process gradually, some of our problems can be sorted, specifically the interface with communities and the improvement in service delivery itself. Thanks a lot, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zolani. Now I'm not seeing any hand, but I think the approach is that let me call on the first presenter who presented to actually respond where he can respond and comment on the comments that were made. Reaffirm what other the either councillors or colleagues on the platform have said. Let me start with the first presenter. Paul, you heard what colleagues and councillors are saying. Any bite from your side?
Yeah, I do agree with all those sentiments to a large extent. I think just to pick up on the issue, issues alone and dealing with issues alone when they arise is probably a little late in a process. So what I can, and I think everyone is talking about how do we strengthen the communication and collaboration between community and civil society. Well, first of all, we must understand that we can't have individual conversations with 100,000 people or even more in the case of metros or bigger municipalities, millions of people. So we have to try and organize our communities in a better way so that we can have this meaningful interaction with them. And that would include the business forums and civil society and stuff like that. And I think from our experience, we found that as soon as this process is inclusive from the beginning of maybe, and let's use the IDP as an example, at the beginning of the process as opposed to the end of the process, the response of everybody becomes far better. So it would be my advice to municipality and also in terms of transparency, the question that was raised, how do you present this transparency? How do you become more transparent? Well, I think the best practice there is to be collaborative about it and ask the people who you want to be transparent to how they would like transparently to appear and how they would like it to materialize. And these processes, there's no silver bullet here. But if you get the right people around the room for the right time, I think, and on the right issues, I think you'll drive at solutions. So yeah, that would be my sort of broad-based response to that. And in terms of the first question, yes, we know we have to be aware that maybe a small percentage of our leaders in our municipalities are painting the rest of our leaders and administrators with the same brush. And so we have to try and build a momentum around a critical mass of people that want to do the right thing. And communities must take up the agency and be active citizens to both exercise their right at the polls, but also to organize themselves sufficiently to exercise their right as a community, as a collective. In Makana, this happened a lot around different departments of government, just putting pressure on things to happen quicker and better and to respond better. And if anybody's watched the news lately, you'll see that MECs, ministers, deputy ministers, SIU, and all those people have arrived in Makana to start looking at the problems. And this is partly because of civil society's collective action and noise that they've made to hold government to account. So don't be afraid to organize your communities and help them organize them and ask them how they want to receive information. That would take you a long way down the road. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Let's take the next one. Gerish, you heard what we had. What do you say to the comments and questions? Chapman. Gerish?
Thank
Your
you.
response?
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, me and the stick. Anyway, thank you for those questions, councillors and colleagues. I want to re-emphasize this, and to Councillor Govender, thank you so much for putting it out there that there's a lot of issues that needs to be dealt with. But what I do feel that we need to build a shared vision. And if we can work a bit harder, I know it's a tall order, but if we could work a bit harder at getting a vision for the municipality at a meta level of where do we want to see the municipality going. This is also a collaborative effort, and between all councillors, administration, and community. Of course, you can't bring 200 to 300 thousand people into a room, but there could be selective thought and resources around the table to create a vision. And I would really want to promote the idea that a tool of this nature be used in order to stimulate a vision that is proactive, similar to the speaker from Great Kai. To Councillor Levin, initially there is this thoughts of not going forward, not being able to go forward. But I think again we really need to focus on solutions. Now, you referred to our citizen-based monitoring tool, and that worked very well in the likes of Kenya and Ghana and so forth. And so it is a similar exercise being tried out in South Africa to to educate or put more communicative processes into place in order for citizens to handle some aspects. I'm aware that councillors don't get the right information. In fact, a little story, I took a councillor with me in Kouga municipality to witness one of the projects that they were undertaking. And when he said to me, when he's sitting in the council room, the council had agreed on a 52 million award to that project, and he couldn't fathom out. He couldn't fathom out why 52 million. That's a lot of money just to get this project going. But when we met on site, um, a whole vision opened in his mind, and he could see, and he actually said to us, hey, 52 million is not going to work here, you know. But the contractor convinced him that that amount is sufficient, more than sufficient, to get the work going. So it's important for the initiative also to come from council to ensure that before they approve this, let's do a site visit. And we've been promoting this whole aspect of site visits in order to get a better understanding and knowledge. Yes, administrators and some professionals feel that they don't have the time to tell council every bit of detail. But that specification that comes out with a project is so vital for understanding what the project is going about. And this is where we come in. We teaching citizens how to read specification, you know, and not in depth in the technical terms, but to oversight. For example, simple example, look for a pipe if the specification saying they should be using 100 millimeter pipe. And if that citizen don't find that 100 millimeter pipe, it's open for question. You know, why are you not using it? I only see a 60 mil pipe there. What's happening? You know, this type of simple, we don't want them to become engineers, of course, community, and which tends to go that way. But rather stick to a formatted process and like a checkbox. This is what we saw. This is what we haven't seen, and so forth. So I think by instituting, and this is the first in South Africa that we're doing this, that we wanting to equip civil society with information in order to better understand where the project is going and what the importance of that project is all about. Yeah, to Mr. Moni, yeah, I understand that there is a lack of civil education, and this is our thinking too, that we've helped review what we call a booklet holding local government accountable, is teaching citizens who and what is local government. And out of that, we're extracting materials where we find there's a lack of information around that a particular issue, that we introduce the civic education. It's a long story. It's 257 municipalities, but there are certain key areas that we could promote civic education amongst our communities to better understand local government. I think that's where the lack is in that way. To Shane Jacobs, thanks. We are using social media, and I would like to get to that page where we are um, introducing not only on website but on Facebook and so forth. So watch out for Compact on Facebook and LinkedIn and on X, but recently X is not that because of the changes that they at the macro level. And so I totally agree with you. Social media is really taking off, and I would like to appeal to the chair too, that we should be having a discussion around social media and the use of social and the benefits of social media and the negatives, of course, in terms of getting to our communities in that way. Jackie, thank you. I'm also from Shwane, and yeah, transparency, like Paul suggested. There's so much to transparency, but my thoughts are more on lower income households. How do we get them involved? And so we were very specific at Compact that we will target lower income because their voices are not heard and always overrun by communities in the middle and upper class sectors because of their availability of tech and so forth. And so our thinking, if you read through our fact sheets that we have produced, our thinking is to target the specifically target a lower income level to hear and understand where they are struggling in terms of communicating with municipalities. In our list, we unfortunately don't have any metros. We have all secondary or rather B category municipalities that we do, and specifically so to engage. I want to put the offshoot here that we're working with the Human Science Research Council under Dr. Paul Plattinger in terms of e-participation. How can e-participation help this communicative lock that we have at a community level of interaction with the municipality and its councillors. So that's also on the cards. To Zolani, thank you. We have submitted to the white paper on the thinking and issues that we have raised. And to all of us out there, I've put in a link linking you to what we call a consolidated technical findings report on public participation. Please have a read through that link. It's 164 pages, but it has some evidence that you'd immediately recognized with, and the tools that I produced earlier or listed earlier, those 12 tools link to those findings and this. So what we want to do is rather look at root causes than at symptomatic causes. Root causes is where our issues are right now at local government. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gerish, for that response. It was very intense. Go to Prof. Madumo now. Prof. Madumo, you heard what they said. There are questions, there are comments. What's your take?
All right, thank you very much, Colin. So maybe just to start off with the comment that Dolly made regarding the lack or the inability thereof, to ensure oversight and monitoring. Oversight and monitoring would definitely be a bit of a challenge in the current, system of local government, given that a municipal council has been given both the legislative and executive, authority, or the legislative and executive authorities vested in a municipal council. And as a result, the municipal council is expected to become both a player and a referee at the same time, which is somewhat impossible in a political system. So we have made, well, as academics, we have made a submission to the minister through the revision of this white paper on local government to say perhaps it's time that we relook at that composition and the way in which functions and authority has been given to the municipal council in order to allow for a system that would create trias politica, wherein each system will have to have some checks and balances based on what their primary functioning is. There was also an issue that Wilson spoke about in terms of councillors' hands being tied up by administrators when they want to go and monitor projects and so on. And I think to quite a larger extent, municipal councils, because they are the highest decision making body in a municipality, they need to now take up the charge and actually call out these officials to come and account as to why is it that they don't want to provide those documents that are essential in ensuring that councillors would also play their role and responsibility of sharing with local communities as to how far these projects are and so on and so forth. And I think in the broader scheme of things, and I think that's the reason why the minister, had deemed it fit to revise and review the white paper on local government. There is a need for institutional culture change. I don't understand why is it that it must be acceptable that municipalities have to always be considered and seen as entities that are susceptible to mediocrity. It doesn't make sense to me, because these are the critical, for me, sphere of government that is essential in improving the daily livelihoods of communities. Jackie asked a very important question around strategies to improve collaboration, and in particular in ensuring that there is involvement of communities and civil society in this collaborative governance. It is important, and however, it is also difficult at the same time. Difficult in a sense that in the current dispensation of how municipalities operate and are perceived by communities, it will remain difficult for municipalities to always appeal to communities in ensuring that they invite them into these spaces where collaboration ought to take place. And I think what is important, or what may be necessary at the moment, would be to build trust, to rebuild the trust, that communities have in, or should have in municipalities. And by building trust, I think the elements that could be looked at would be one, of competence. Ensure that at all times you would be competent as municipalities in providing services, in responding to municipal concerns and queries and so on. And secondly is to ensure that there is a bit of integrity in the processes, in the functions, and in the operations of municipalities, so that local community members must not look at this municipality as this organism that we are not able to understand, that we don't want to associate with, and so on and so forth. And there must also be consistency in the practices of municipalities. When there's an interruption, for example, of a particular service, the municipality must be consistent in ensuring that they regularly update and so on and so forth. And in a way, this somewhat builds a bit of trust in communities. So apart from that, I think I have covered everything that I thought I would want to speak on. Thank you very much, Colin. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof, for the responses and for actually plugging in where other presenters have left. Yeah, I see Jackie is applauding you. Yeah, thank you very much, presenters, for your responses and for your presentations. I think it's now 13 minutes to 12. We are on time. I want now to call on Mike Chauke to give us a vote of thanks that will integrate a way forward. Mike, can you take us through that? Before that, I'm seeing a late hand here. The late hand is by whom? I don't want us to go beyond our call. I saw two hands. Can those two hands, the first one, come in before Mike comes in? MMC Zandile. Were you raising your hand?
Yes, thank you very much. Greetings to your good self, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. Uzandile Joseph Wangubeni Sibongo Mpumalanga Steve Twete. I just want to firstly just apologize for my in and out. I missed a lot in the presentation due to network in the area where I was in. I just wanted to report that. But also, it was the part that can, because really I missed a lot and I wanted to contribute and there are parts where I couldn't. Can we get a presentation, this presentation fully and really so that one can be able to go through it in his own space and time?
Yeah,
That's all that.
MMC, sorry for not having been able to participate as you wished. Presentations will be shared. And one thing maybe before Mike comes in, you see, these partners that we have access to. If maybe in the work that we do on day-to-day basis, you feel as a municipality there's a need, we are able to bring Paul, we are able to bring Giresh, we can be able to bring Prof to talk to you as a municipality. But we need to ensure that there would be value for money. You know, sometimes when you come to your places, we should actually be sure that your councillors and officials that are relevant will be there. That is the offering that we have as Salga. Mike, can you now chip in and provide a vote of thanks that integrates in it the way forward? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you to all the honorable councillors as well as the colleagues who've been part of this webinar. I think at some stage I saw we're over 300 on the platform. So we can't do this if there are no people to be receptive of the messaging that we want to bring across. This process, colleagues and honorable councillors, is not going to happen overnight. Change is inherently difficult. If you recall, some of you on the platform in January took New Year's resolutions that you'll be going to gym, that by July you'll have 6 packs. I'm almost there with my 6 pack, but for many, they've fallen off the wagon because inherently change is difficult and it does not happen overnight. Yes, there are problems, but we can overcome those problems. If Paul made an example with the 1995 Rugby World Cup, and I'll take that analogy forward. In 2006, as well as 2018, the Springboks were hopeless. They were losing, but because of a vision that they had, when the new coaches came in, and trusted the process. A year later, they won the 2007 World Cup as well as the 2019 World Cup. So if we have a shared vision, all of us together, communities, municipalities, and even the administration, we can change the picture around. It's not a hopeless picture. Let's trust the process. Let's have transformative leaders who want to change the conditions on the ground for citizens for the better. If we don't have the right leaders at the top who are setting the tone, we will not be able to change that. And I think as the King Protea ashes, the King Protea rises from the ashes. So we can also rise and make local government a happy place for citizens where they want to contribute, where all of us can contribute and have a better life for all. So change it's going to take a process, but let's start the change. Let's start the conversations. Let's keep the conversations happening. So this will not be the only platform we're going to have. We're looking to have a series of these kind of webinars on various topics, and I would also welcome issues that you would want us to look at in upcoming webinars that we'll have. But I would also like to thank the partners that we've got, Galaxy Trust, They have been phenomenal in terms of the relationship that we've been building for the past few years or so. And this journey we're going to take in terms of collaborative governance, we want to carry on, walk the path with them, learn from them, and them learning from us as well. I think it's a symbiotic relationship that we're building. Um, and we're going to forge that relationship, working together with our municipalities so that we bring the best to you, as well as Compact. And they've showcased the products that they're bringing to us, the work that they've done based on informative research. And we don't want to only keep this information, as Colin alluded to earlier on, to the 12 Compact municipalities, but we'll share more through such platforms and other platforms that we have within Salga to all our member municipalities, so that you can draw lessons from what has been learned there. And also thankful to Professor Madumo for your insightful insights. I don't think we can do it alone as local government. We need other voices to also be a sounding board to us. Things that we can learn, things, the research that they are doing, and also how can we influence the research agendas in our institutions of higher learning, and for them to participate. So thank you very much, Prof, as well as to everyone who's been on the platform, to my colleagues who've put on this program, for your insights in terms of the guidance, and for my provincial colleagues as well, your guidance, your sending out the messaging to your respective municipalities. Thank you very much, colleagues. I think we've done a stellar job, and I think the audience has appreciated this work and the platform that we're creating. Let's keep up the good work. And to everyone else who's been on the platform, we did not confine it only to municipalities, open it up to civil society organizations, and I think I even saw some other government stakeholders on the platform. So we don't want to keep the messaging alone as to Salga, but everybody else. Thank you very much, and to the program director, thank you for directing the program so well. You've kept us on time. You've kept the discussions open. Thank you very much, colleagues. May you enjoy the weekend. May you join us the next time. We will share the presentations as well as the attendance registers, and hopefully the link for the video. Thank you very much. Back to you, Cole.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike.
So
Let me
sorry, Cole.
also
Just
say,
just just one point. In terms of the way forward, we currently developing a collaborative governance model as Saga. Part of our mandating process, we must engage municipalities for inputs. So please keep a lookout for those opportunities where we are coming to come and engage, so that you influence the end product that we're going to present to our governance structures for final adoption sometime in this financial year. Thank you, colleagues.
yeah, thank you very much, Mike. Colleagues, I'm not taking any hands anymore. If you have an issue, please put it on the chat. I'm seeing Mike gets a call. I would be tempted to ask you to say something, but hey, let's keep it the way it should. It should be. You see, thank you very much. You've been very, very wonderful audience. I think we kept time, and then up to now we're still over 240. It means we were actually providing what people need. And then I think, as Mike says, we have not taken notes of what actually have been spoken about. We can't say now here. We'll communicate our next moves. And some of the moves that we do are directly with municipalities across the country and in our 9 provinces. So we are not going to actually always use webinars. We know, those who know us, that we are actually in all corners of the country with our provincial colleagues, other stakeholders, and our civic organization partners like the ones we have here, and even the academic institutions. I thank you very much for having been a good audience. It's 3 minutes to 12 and we are done. Have a nice weekend.